Can you explain to me a little bit about Jack Nicklaus and the work that you did, for example, with him?
Well, like every sport, the PGA and golf was interested in how do they find a way to get people involved in the game. So with Jack and Golden Bear, we developed youth programs, again using a non-directive way of coaching so that the clubs were different shape, the balls were different shape, and it was a way of getting kids in. And you didn't need a golf club. You just needed an empty field. So we developed all these programs, but the beauty of doing that was watching him. And the thing that impressed me most about him, and it's the same thing that I've seen consistently with these major athletes that I've worked with. I'll just give you one example. He runs his own golf tournament in Ohio, plays 3 days of 18-hole courses. Every night when everybody else went into the lounge to have a drink or get something to eat, the first night I was looking for him and couldn't find him. And Jim Flick was his coach. And I said, where's Jack and Jim? And they said, so I looked out the window, and sure enough, Jack's out there hitting 200-300 balls every night. And he wasn't 21 then. This is at the end of his career. So Jim Flick, who I worked with, I said, is he always like this? And he said, he's always like this. He won't let it go. He just keeps working and working and working. So now there's a book out now called The Sports Gene. There's the author, I can't think of his name, that wrote Blink, that talks about 10,000 hours to put things in. And now these people are arguing how many hours. Don't argue about how many. Just know that if you want to get to gold or if you want to be the best, you have to have the talent, but you got to work and work and work and work. Ted Williams, I don't know if you ever know that name from baseball in the United States, said he used to swing the bat every night 3,000 times, over and over and over again, developing those neural pathways that get people to consistently perform. He tried to coach, but he couldn't because he worked with people who weren't willing to work, couldn't handle it.
So tell me, you've mentioned Sir Clive Woodward. Tell me your work with him and the involvement you've had and how you've worked together.
Very interesting story, because I was on the beaches of St. Thomas, which is a good place to go no matter what you're doing, and somebody handed me a book right before I got on the plane, and it said Winning. And now we could say the rest is history. And I said, well, what's this about? And they went, well, it's a book by Clive Woodward. Well, I didn't know who he was. And they said, okay. I said, okay. Who is he? And he said, well, it's a book about rugby. I said, well, I don't know anything about rugby. Read it. You'll love it. I did. And I don't know if you've ever read it. It was great. It's a great book. So when I got done on the beaches of St. Thomas, I called some people over here that I knew, and I said, I got to meet him. So flew over. His profile is a lot like mine. We had a 2-hour meeting in a pub. 9 hours later, we're still rabbiting back and forth about things. Got involved in trying to help restructure his book in terms of how he actually put it together, because sometimes great people do things and they don't even realize there is a pattern to what they do, so we helped create that pattern behind him. Then he went to Southampton Football Club, where I profiled Gareth Bale.
Yeah.
If only I knew then, I would have gotten 10% of everything he's done since, but I didn't. But Clive brought me in there because he felt that the players were not being handled properly like he would have done in rugby. He took a lot of stick because people were saying, well, what do you know about soccer?
He's always taking a lot of stick and everything.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what great people do, because they say things and do things that most of us don't think about.
Yeah.
So we went in and profiled 17 of the team's players. And one of the part of the profile, if there's a problem, it's called a pressure response, and it reads it almost like if you take your blood pressure. 15 of the 17 players had this pressure response on their profiles. I think Clive thought, eureka, he knew something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. So with me, with my MRI type instrument, I was able to show exactly what he felt. Now, I don't know how much changed because of that, because I don't know that they were willing to listen to him as much as they should have. But when you have a pressured response in a profile, it limits your ability to perform. So Gareth Bale and the other lads that were going out and playing, they were playing every weekend, but they weren't doing well. But that's the point. If you don't have the correct alignment and the right environment for people to get that alignment, then you're going to be limited in your performance.